it is time for me to start warping the next bout of warp threads for my first warp on the new Spring 2 loom. I have a measuring thread marking out my 5-yard path that I need to make sure I don't accidentally take off when I take off each warp bout. I have my threading guide for all of the specific numbers of passes I need to make with my different yarns. Now, I am not a production weaver. I do not have all the fancy tools and stuff that production weavers have. Namely, I don't have a bobbin rack, and I am not buying my yarn by the dozen spools. What I do have is random cones of yarn from estate sales and the like, and weaving bobbins. I may not have a bobbin rack, but if you load a standard weft bobbin and stick it on the standard pin of a shuttle, I can take 4 strands of this yarn and wind them together at the same time. Now, the reason this is 4 strands is because this is going to be woven with 2 strands held together. So this is 2 ends being wound at a time, even though it's 4 pieces of string. Now, in this case, I'm using all 4 from bobbins because that way I don't have to break my cone to wind a new bobbin and make another weak spot in the warp. For my other colors, I have a single bobbin as one of the 2 ends and the cones as the other ends. Now, for this particular warp, I'm going to have to do a lot of 2 passes. By that I mean all the way up and back, which is 4 ends, because all of them are being wound 2 ends held together. The cross happens right here, and the tie-on ends up happening down here, so it's far away from the solid end I need at the back beam. So this pass starts with 2 full passes of the brown. I set the brown threads roughly where I'm going to need them. I'm making a loop knot, and I start it a few inches back from the starter peg, which is this one. Okay, so I follow the path, and because my yarn is coming from down here, this hand stays mostly stable as a feed. Now, that extra rumble that you just heard, possibly, was because I was feeding the yarn faster than it was entirely comfortable with. So I go over, under at the cross, under, over, and then I do under, over, coming back the other way. One full pass. Full passes. Now, I could cut this and tie it to there, but I need to do a whole lot of 2 brown, 2 teal, 2 brown, 2 teal, 3 copper, and then 2 brown, 2 teal, 2 brown, 2 teal, etc. So I'm going to make a slip knot and hang a little bit of a weight from it. The weight I'm choosing to use is this adorable mini drop spindle. That's one of my weights. I also have a quilter's clip with my orifice hook for my Hansen because it's a nice heavy bead, and this will put some weight. Could be anything. Could be a clothespin, could be an S-hook, could be the kind of things you use as weights on the back end of a warp when a warp thread gets a little loose. Anything. Now, everything is on the right path. I'm checking that, and then I push it back. So now I need 2 teal. So the teal, one comes off the cone. Finding the end can be a little interesting sometimes. There we go. And one off of another bobbin. Now this is a larger bobbin because the plain sections of the warp for this project are all teal. So I'm winding a fair bit of teal. Again, I've got a loop, which I need to change a little bit because I don't want it pulling on that end. I want it pulling on the other end. So I'm just going to do an overhand loop knot, because this is all yarn that will end up not part of the warp for about this distance. It goes onto this back peg here. But this is the end of the warp. So one pass, under, over, and to the end, slip knot so I have something to clip to. Clip my weight. Let it hang. Check everything is the right pass. Yeah, everything's where it's supposed to be. Push it inwards. I'm not worried about a counting cross on this because the stripes sort of do it for me. It's much more visible than a tie at the moment. Now I need 2 more of the brown. So here's the brown. Under, over, under, over. One pass. Under, over, under, over. We are short a strand as of here. So I need to back this off to down here for this strand and replace it with another bobbin and keep going. So I'll stop here and fix that, and may or may not add more of the process in a sped up fashion. Hope this is helpful to you, and I will try to add to the video, coming back with showing you what it looks like taking it off of the warping board. Have a wonderful day.